Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and today our topic is Introduction to Viruses. We are gonna learn what are viruses, what are their characteristics, what role do these viruses play in our life, and in which kingdoms these viruses are placed. So let's get started. The word viruses is derived from the word viron, which means poison. Hearing the word poison, you all must get a thought that this poison somewhat is something dangerous and deadly to humans, right? So viruses may also be dangerous, causing harm to humans. If you guys are thinking like that, then you're 100% right. Viruses are something which can cause very dangerous diseases to human beings, some of which can be treated and some of which can even not be treated. The term viral diseases is used for the diseases caused due to virus. For example, polio, cancer, COVID-19, all of these diseases are viral diseases. And these diseases can even cause the pandemic. Why they can cause the pandemic as one is going right now? Because these viruses have a special characteristics which is not found in any other organism. That is, these viruses can be transferred from an infected person. These viruses can be transferred from an infected person to a healthy person. And this is the particular characteristic of viruses which is not found in bacteria, which is not found in any other organism, and it is only found in viruses. And this was even the characteristic due to which these viruses were discovered. Let me write the name of its discoverer here. One guy, he didn't actually saw viruses, but when he saw a disease named tobacco mosaic virus in the plants, so he said this is due to these viruses. He for the first time introduced the term viruses and said that these can be transferred from an infected person to a healthy person. According to Ivanovsky, this was the definition of viruses, and this was the particular characteristics of viruses. For example, if I catch cold and I sneeze in front of you, what will happen? These infectious agents, viruses, will transfer from me to you, and what will happen then? Then you will also get infected, and you will also get the same disease. Same thing is with COVID-19, which we are suffering right now. The pandemic is going right now. It is also a viral disease, and it's also due to viruses. So now let's draw the structure here of viruses, how viruses are. So I'm drawing here the structure of a bacteriophage, and I know it's a very rough structure, but it's okay, I guess. This is the structure of bacteriophage, not any other virus. So yeah, now this is the structure of a bacteriophage, or a structure of the viruses. Bacteriophage is the virus which infects the bacteria, and whenever something is researched on viruses, bacteriophage is mostly taken by the researchers to do research on viruses. This is the DNA or RNA, a nucleic acid molecule, and this is the capsid. This is the envelopes, these envelopes. Okay, so this is the capsid, and capsid is the protein coat which surrounds the DNA or RNA molecule. Why? Because, for example, we all have cells, right? We all have cells, we all have nucleus, and in that nucleus we have DNA, our genetic material, but that's not the same cases with the viruses. Other very particular characteristics of viruses is its non-cellular structure. Every living organism consists of 1, 2 or more cells, because cell is the basic unit of life. But this is not the same characteristics as the viruses. Viruses do not have a cellular structure. These viruses have a non-cellular structure. They do not consist of a cell, they do not consist of a nucleus, but they consist of DNA or RNA molecule as their genetic material. Thus, its structure is a little different, and thus this is the head of the virus, while this part is the tail. So in the head of the virus, there is a nucleic acid molecule. It's surrounded by a capsid. Capsid is basically the protein coat which surrounds its nucleic acid molecule. While these envelopes are some structures which help them stick to their host, and when they are infecting their host, these envelopes play major role for the viruses sticking to the host. When we are studying viruses, there are two main terms, or you can even say them types of viruses: virulent virus and temperate virus. So virulent virus are the viruses which can cause the death of the host cell. Viruses that can cause death of the host cell are called virulent viruses, while viruses that can be integrated into their host genome without causing the harm to host are called temperate viruses. Viruses which cause death of the host cell are virulent virus, whereas viruses which can be into host cell without harming them are called temperate virus. But at any stage when these viruses can get angry, they can automatically convert to virulent virus and can start harming host. These virulent virus observe lytic cycle, whereas this temperate virus observe lysogenic cycle. We'll discuss these both in the life cycles of bacteriophage, but you should know that lytic cycle is observed by virulent virus, lysogenic cycle is observed by temperate virus. This can cause death of host cell, this cannot cause death of host cell. So now the last point to discuss is in which category viruses are placed. Either they are living or non-living. If they are living, then in which kingdom they are placed. We have studied 5 kingdoms: Prokaryota, Protoctista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, right? So we know that this is unicellular, and these 3 are multicellular organisms. So in these 5 kingdoms, is there anything that non-cellular organisms are being placed in that? No. Either organisms have 1 cell or 2 cell, but they will have a cellular structure. But we have studied one characteristic of viruses till now, which is its non-cellular structure. It do not contains any cell. So this means in these 5 kingdoms, viruses are not placed. Then why? Because even they can cause diseases to humans and other organisms. So why they are not placed in the kingdoms of living organisms? So we are getting the answer of this question, that why scientists haven't placed the viruses in these 5 kingdoms. Because scientists are still confused whether to place them in the living organisms or whether to place them in the non-living organisms, because these viruses show some characteristics of living organisms, and while they show some characteristics of non-living organisms. We are gonna study these characteristics which viruses show as living organisms and which they show as non-living organisms now. So the very first characteristics of viruses, which is of non-living organisms, is its non-cellular structure. We studied that viruses do not consist of any cell. It consists of only a nucleic acid molecule which is enveloped in a capsid. The second characteristics of these viruses as non-living organisms is they are completely inactive outside the host cell. They are completely inactive outside the host cell. This means if we observe viruses when they are, for example, placed on a table, there is a virus placed on a table. If we observe it, it will be completely non-living. But when I will put my hand on it and when it will stick to me, then if we observe it, it will be living because it will get its food from its host. So now the third main characteristic of viruses and non-living organisms is they undergo crystallization process. This process means the viruses are crystallized. Even when these viruses were discovered, these viruses were crystallized and then they were seen through the electron microscope, and this process is not undergone by any living organism. Now we are seeing what characteristic do they have as we have. So first of all, we have studied this structure of virus, right? You can see there is a nucleic acid molecule enclosed in a capsid. So scientists said that this structure, its nucleic acid molecule enclosed in a capsid, is a structure similar to chromosome, and chromosome are found in living organisms only. So this characteristics makes virus similar to living organisms. And there is one of the very main characteristics of living organisms, that is reproduction. So viruses also reproduce, but only inside the host cell. They reproduce by a process called replication. This means they make copies of itself and they keep making it, and then these copies infect other host cells. The third process is they undergo mutation. Mutations means that when its DNA molecule or RNA molecule is replicated, some of its arrangements are changed, and this is also a particular characteristics of living organisms, and non-living organisms do not undergo it. Thus, scientists are very confused where to place viruses in which category. In which category viruses should be placed. So they said that viruses lie somewhere between living and non-living organisms. So we have understood viruses now. Thank you so much for watching our lecture.